Olfasu is an island in the southeast of Ifinu and is one of the few habitable places in the realm. It was initially settled by the Ifo, an ancient civilization of cephalopod-like creatures that used a massive underground transit system, now an aisle-spanning sewer system, called the Ifo Way. After the subsumption, the only creatures that survived on Olfasu were the Skivenkif, a race of people formed by the Ragonites. Their history isn't entirely known, but they are devout followers of Zumanaquo for unknown reasons. The Ananyankin, a population of mortal Bunrayakins exiled from their home, were deported to Olfasu, a barren wasteland at the time. For 25,000 years or so they struggled to build civilization, hunted by the horrid fauna and dying to the elements, until Bonner Davo I, the first of the royal family, eventually established the city of Olfas. The city flourished, and for the first time, things were looking up for their people, until Davo had an illegitimate child with another nobleman's wife, Grunhail Bunajov. This child was originally named Higrathi, but changed his name to Davo II when he ascended to the throne at the age of 9 after his father's untimely death. This event sparked a civil war between the lower noble families who felt the monarchy and city were not well established enough to support a minority, and the peasantry who felt that the new king would make things harder on them due to his own incompetence. The monarchy and its supporters won this war. They exiled the offending parties to a mountain range barely peeking over the horizon called the Growlin Range, an inhospitable place even by Alphasan standards, covered in volcanic ash from an eruption a few centuries earlier and bordered by a several continent-wide desert. This desert, called the Chanting Dunes, is the largest single biome on Olfasu and became the home of the Skivenkif after the subsumption, then the Ananyankin, Bunrayakin, and Anakim after them. Davo II proved a more adept ruler than many thought, and encouraged major advances in domestication, which resulted in the prototypes of the first bioships. Davo II had 2 children with his wife, Davo III and Cephabon, and several more with his concubines, those children being Graula Vesifol and the Ugravo brothers. Together, the descendants of all, save for the Davo line, are called the second families. Davo III suffered a traumatic brain injury as a child during a minor coup against his father, in which some of the offenders attacked his mother. While fighting back, she dropped him from a height off of the palace stairs. This handicapped him mentally, and as Cephabon grew, he felt sure that despite his brother's seniority, he would be the heir to the throne, as his genius was unrivaled in the realm. However, his father favored his brother and explicitly gave the throne to Davo III in his will. It's uncertain whether Cephabon simply relented to his father's command or if he caused many of the rebellions and odd deaths in the family after his brother's rise to power. The sources conflict on both concepts. Davo III never truly ruled, and the nobles knew it. In truth, it was his wife, Fail Bunjov, puppeteering her husband throughout his reign. From here we skip several generations to a more detailed period of history. About the 370-460-ish era of BBM, with Davo VIII and his children. Those children being Davo IX, Sevenir, Lamia, Omir, Gamid, Jundiri, and debatably Aquando and Condor. These children and their descendants are known as the Eighth Families. Davo IX only had a daughter, named Ogam, who married a noble named Akanep Bunaj, and thus began the succession factions. Those that support the current family line from Akanep are called traditionalists. Ogists, sometimes spitefully called ogres, are a group of political figures and scholars that hold the belief that when the house changed from Davo to Bunaj, the crown should have passed to Og's descendants, and that Sevenir's incest was not coded as a breach of law at the time, which is true. Multiple essays and historical sources back this idea up. Thus, it was not a legitimate reason to denounce the line's inheritance. For this reason, Og's most senior male descendant should sit on the throne. Most Ogists are not militant. It's more so an intellectual acknowledgement that the current system of government is technically incorrect, but has been established for so long that it would take a monumental effort to change. Though there are militant subsets, typically descendants of Og, that consider themselves or someone close to them in their family to be the senior heir, but the lack of valid genealogical evidence for periods of this branch of the family's history makes it difficult to know anything for certain. Oamirans hold the notion that Oamir, third son of Davo IX, and his descendants are the rightful heirs to the throne. They maintained Sivanir's denouncement and claimed seniority in a male-only line. The only reason they even have a following is due to a very rare surname, Oami or Oam, which they claim has its etymology traced back to Oamir. According to records, Oamir was never married and had no children, living as a hermit in the Tevenim forest for most of his life. The Ananyankin bearing the surname are from Tevenim, or Tevenir, so the story lines up, but historians say that the name was taken by a family of nomads that were saved from an open pock far from his herd by Oamir. After slaying the beast, the nomads swore fealty to him and managed his crops until he died, taking the surname in remembrance of him. Cephibonists hold that Cephibon should have been the line of inheritance. Most find Cephibonists like flat earthers, perpetuating an ancient argument that has been dismissed and disproved repeatedly. Balats wish for the Balas family to hold more power due to the legendary ancestor Jundiri Balas I, but very few are foolish enough to think that they are to be kings. There's much more to the family's history, and even more so into the Beliatolic era, but this video is long enough, so I will see y'all later.